I said I'll move the country from consumption to production. What I mean by that is that I want to see people wealth with enterprise. So if we say you're wealthy, there must be something you're doing to do. When it comes to, I was a successful businessman, and I was involved in the whole value chain, from agricultural produce to manufacturing to distribution. What people used to see with me is the distributing part of it while I was in business. When I was in trade, I was distributing local goods as well as importing to complement. What is important is that we want to move from, when I talk about consumption to production, is look at the vast land we have in the north. That is the most important physical assets of the country today. If you cultivate all that vast land, we will feed ourselves, we will export. That vast land can change Nigeria. What brought us to where we are today is cumulative effect of leadership failure over the years by the same people who are elected, by the same people who are in office today. So we're talking about the structure that have kept us where we are, the structure that have produced the highest number of people in poverty in any country, the structure that have produced the highest number of out-of-school children, the structure that have made the country one of the most corrupt countries in the world, the culture that have made it one of the most insecure places in the world, the structure that have brought about highest youth unemployment in the world, the structure that have made drug prevalence in Nigeria the highest, the structure that have made us to overtake India in infant mortality. That's why the fact there are 1.4 billion and we're doing. So I can go on and tell you about what this structure is all about. The structure that have brought disunity in Nigeria, that is the structure we want to remove. We want to bring a structure that will secure, unite, and bring about production-centered leadership in Nigeria, where we will start pulling people out of poverty. Our children will be in school, where we will start ensuring that people get jobs when they leave school by supporting micro, small enterprises, a structure that will start governing by rule of law, a structure that will fight corruption. This is the structure we need now. So I believe that the people know what I'm fighting for. Where do we want to be in the world of today? The world of today has changed, and we must be in the Committee of Developing Nations. If I say, for example, I'm going to ensure that I secure, unite Nigeria, I'm going to govern by consensus rather than coercive and all this, it's for you to check the past and say, this man who is saying this, he's passed through some offices or places. Can we check what he did while he was there? The number one priority today in Nigeria is the issue of security, because it's impacting on it's become an existential issue for Nigeria. You can't talk about being a country unless you're secured, unless your citizens are secured. So it's an existential issue that must be dealt head-on, decisively. It's also something that if you deal with today, you can deal with your inflation. Because the worst part of inflation we're experiencing today is food inflation. So if you secure the country, your farmers will go back, they will produce more, and the food inflation will come down.
But how would you solve it? How would you solve this problem?
I said it without giving you fine details. We have to immediately review and restructure the entire security architecture. Make it responsive and responsible. Responsive is that they will deal with issues as quickly as possible. Responsible is that somebody is in charge, and if he's not doing it, don't wait. The person will go.
If Peter Obi were the president of Nigeria today, in 2026, the price of petrol will be selling for 300 naira per liter. I tell you the truth and I kid you not. And this is not exaggeration. This is not propaganda. This is fact-based. If you ask me how, I will explain. Since 2020, from 2020 to 2026, Nigeria made over $250 billion. They produced $250 billion worth of crude oil and natural gas. But guess how much reached the federation account to be shared by the federal, state, and local government? Less than $30 billion. Less than $30 billion. Then you'll ask yourself, the remaining $220 billion, where did it go? This is the question. Now look at it. In all of this, if you look at the fuel that Nigeria imported, you'll see that the fuel is less than 100 billion US dollars. It's less. And if you look at the liters of petrol that was imported and the price Nigerians paid for it, you'll discover that it is way more than the $100 billion. So the question is, if Nigerians are already overpaying for the petrol that are imported, where is the subsidy? Who is subsidizing who? You know, when somebody like Buhari came to say that there's no such thing as fuel subsidy, that fuel subsidy is a scam. In fact, he asked the question, who is subsidizing who? The NNPC Group Financial Officer has come out to say, look, we are not paying any subsidy. The DSDP arrangement is such that we give them crude oil, they give us refined petrol. It's trade by barter. Not 1 naira goes into it for fuel subsidy. In fact, NNPC even makes money because the arrangement guarantees that 50% of the crude that is sent to the refineries and 50% of the refined petrol product that is brought back into Nigeria must be shipped using NNPC's shipping company. So, effectively, no subsidy is paid. But somehow, we were fooled, we were deceived to believe that subsidy is too expensive for us to pay. Somebody like Buhari knew that there was no subsidy being paid. Only corruption. People were just raising invoices and cashing out at the expense of the average Nigerian. Just raising invoices. Now, what you would have expected is that a Tinubu administration would have looked into all of this corruption, taken out the corruption, and freed all of these $250 billion, majority of it, even the ones that go to the local oil companies and international oil companies, the ones that go to them as profit oil or as JV cash calls. Those ones can be reduced because the cost of production of oil in Nigeria is about $40, which is high compared to what exists in Saudi Arabia. And they have equal terrain in terms of production. So you see that it is the corruption in the so-called subsidy and the oil and gas industry that is responsible for the disappearance of the huge $250 billion that we could have gotten in 6 years. But rather than for a Tinubu to face the corruption and take it out, he decided to subsidize the corrupt elite and punish Nigerians for it. But if Peter Obi were the president, what would have happened? The corruption in the oil and gas sector, in the NNPC, in the subsidy regime would have been exposed, and those responsible would have been made to pay back the money into Nigeria's coffers. $250 billion. Imagine if half of that money got into the Nigeria Federation account. There will be enough money that you don't need to punish people with high electricity tariff. You don't need to punish Nigerian citizens with high school fees and pretend that you are doing student loan. You will not need to punish Nigerians with high cost of petrol. You will not need to punish Nigerians with devalued naira. You will not need to punish Nigerians with all manner of taxes that Nigerians are being punished with under the Tinubu administration. A Peter Obi administration would have taken out that corruption, and we would be buying fuel for between 300 and 400 naira maximum. Yet, Nigerians will have massive job creation opportunities. So they will be richer under a Peter Obi. It is important that we know this, because if we don't, then we will allow ourselves to be drawn away by the propaganda of the Tinubu administration and the APC. And because we have poor opposition, they are not able to match them wheat for wheat. They will just distract us with uselessness when the real issues are not attended. 250 billion US dollars. Where did it go? Under a Peter Obi, we would have known by now. But is it so under Tinubu? The answer is no. The ball is in your court. If we want Nigeria to change, that new Nigeria we all know is possible, it can only come with free and fair elections. A revolution, yeah, you say might help, but the question is, who will bring the revolution? The people who have the capacity to do revolution are the people who are responsible for the corruption in the system. They are enjoying it, so they will not let a revolution happen. And in fact, even Nigerians that are suffering this harsh policy, they don't want to die. They have been broken by weaponized poverty, hunger, and unemployment. So they are quiet, not because they like the suffering under the APC and Tinubu, but because they are too weak to even talk. Is it those people you think will come and engage in a revolution? A revolution might work, but the possibility of a revolution is next to zero. The best option for us is free and fair election, guaranteed by Vote Watch and PU Marshal. Why? Because it's a parallel vote tabulation system that we put INEC on check. And it is something that is well within our reach as citizens. Very legal, very safe, operates in stealth mode for us to do. Check it out today. Let us make the 2027 election truly free and fair, and make it such that only genuine leaders emerge, so they can implement the right policies that will expose the corruption in the NNPC and reduce the price of petrol for us all. What is it going to be? The ball is in your court.